great agents. This is Mr. Bill Pipes over here with Tom Ferry, your coach, and our Real Success interviews. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you are alive, excited, and most of all, full of energy and making a lot of money in this wonderful game of real estate. I want to welcome you guys back to another, great Real Success interview. And today it's like super special, because we've had a couple of individuals on the previous interviews that are, been in the business for a while. They're up, they're running, they're like 8 or 9 years. They've built their teams. So today, I'm not going to tell you just yet who we got on here, but I've got someone who in his first year is just killing it. I mean, knocking it out of the park, and I can't wait to introduce you to him here in a second. But before I do, I know that naturally, since you're watching this, you're someone who's busy. You're someone, our viewers are individuals that are, running from one appointment to the next, doing the best they can to manage their business and their life. And we've got some really good feedback from, in fact, I was talking to Arnie, the person who's going to be on the call here today, and we're talking about some of these other interviews that are just, that are out there on the market. They're like an hour long. And we had some of our great viewers and listeners and individuals who are watching this say, gosh, you know what we love about this? What we love about the Real Success interviews is that they're 30 minutes long. They're quick. I can fit it into my schedule. I just don't have time to spend an entire hour. So I want to just sort of reiterate for you what our promise is to you as a viewer and as a participant in this Real Success interview. And that is that in 30 minutes, we're going to bring you the top agents, at different levels in the business that are bringing you the most relevant strategies, that are sharing with you very succinctly exactly what they've done to be able to succeed at a high level. And you're not going to have to fish through a full hour. We're going to give you 3 or 4 key points that you can go and use immediately to be able to actually have an impact on your business, impact on your clients, impact on your bottom line profitability. So that's our promise to you, and thanks again for being back. As an industry, we sort of sad because 80% of all new agents are out of the business within 18 months. And it's just sort of an accepted fact that, you come into the business and, brokerages look at it and they say, well, unfortunately, 80% of these agents are going to be gone within the course of the next year and a half. And see, I believe it doesn't have to be that way. And the guest that we have today is just proving what is possible if you really buckle down, follow the right strategies, are intelligent in where you're investing your time, energy, and money. And because all agents come in and they're all excited, they're lit up, they're inspired, they have the same resources. So we look at it and go, why is it that some fail? And why is it that some succeed? So today, it is really my pleasure to introduce to you, he is a new agent in the business. This is his first full year. He sells up in Minnesota. The dude is on friggin' fire. He's going to sell 70, or he's at 70 closed and pended right now. Now, first year in the business, 70 closed and pended. His goal is 100 transactions for this year, right? Which I believe you're going to make it. There's no doubt in my mind. And on top of that, dude, he is one of the most killer, fun, guys to be around, and you couldn't wish success for someone more than you do for Arnie Johansen. So it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Arnie Johansen from Minnesota, right? So Arnie, I'm going to turn it over to you. You want to introduce yourself to everyone and just tell them, maybe a little bit about why you got into real estate, what you were doing before, and then we'll start talking about your first year and why you've been so successful, man. So, Mr. Arnie Johansen.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Yeah, I'm Arne Johansson in Minneapolis. That's my marketplace, Johansen Realty. I own my own brokerage. I got into real estate. Well, I started full-time in real estate in January 2014. I was sanding floors before that. I owned a hardwood floor refinishing company for 7 years. It was a good business, and I was just sanding floors every single day. And, I had my real estate license. I was just, I'd buy foreclosures, on the side, and I'd remodel and sell them. And I wanted to do real estate full-time for a job. I wanted to have a business. I wanted to be a broker, but I didn't really think it was possible because, you know, it was just, I didn't know anybody that was really selling a lot of real estate. And I don't know, you know, you get into a career and it's hard to kind of get out of it. And it was a good gig, you know. I worked, you know, made good money, and I got done, you know, at 2 or 3, and I had freedom. So, but then finally, I just wanted to, you know, get out of the trades, and I wanted to build a business where I had more leverage, you know, where I could build something, and, you know, I didn't have to be there to make the money, you know. And I loved real estate. I loved houses. You know, I love helping people get good deals. I like finding good deals. And so, and I love Minneapolis, and Minneapolis is like, you know, my marketplace, and I love selling here. So yeah, I just went for it in January, and now 8-9 months later, here I am talking to you.
I know, it's amazing. We had you on stage at Blueprint, and just you inspired everyone in the audience. You know, I love what you put down here, because we're talking in advance. I wrote some notes, and you said, I wanted to get out of the smell of polyurethane. I want to get off my knees and get the smell of polyurethane out of my nose. And I thought, what a great way to say, hey, you know, I'm doing, because how old are you, Arnie, if you don't mind me asking, man?
Oh, sorry, you cut out on that last part. I didn't hear the question.
How old are you, man?
Oh, I'm 33. I just turned 33.
33 years old. Awesome.
Yep.
So you got into business, okay, and it was January, right? So did you shut down your hardwood, the flooring business?
Yeah, I mean, I shut it down because I was, you know, and I'm thinking about, I know in retrospect, maybe I'll get that business up and running and have somebody run that business, because I still get a lot of calls on that every single day. But I just wanted to go 100%, you know, and I know myself, and I knew that if I wanted to do really well at this, I had to just go all in. And so I literally just like stopped taking calls, and yeah, I was like, how am I going to get business? I don't know. I can't remember why. I just was like, well, I'll just buy leads online. You know, I'll go from Zillow, Trulia, or whatever. And I was like, well, all I need to do is just talk to these people and get in front of them, and I'll make money. And that's how I started, you know. And so I thought it was going to be easier, really, than it has been. But yeah, that's what happened.
So, you know, what you heard the promise that we want to bring to every single one of the viewers that's watching this, which is to give them 4 key things, 3 or 4 key things that they could do, whether they're a new agent in the business, you know, just starting off, or whether they're a veteran looking to really increase their production or add a new component to their already existing business model. So you come in, what do you attribute, like if you had to say, here are the 3 or 4 reasons that I've been able to succeed? I mean, because let's be very clear. I don't care if you're the first year in the business or you're 15 years in the business, to sell 100 homes, right, in 1 year puts you in that top 1%. So you're obviously doing something right. So what are the 3 or 4 things that you look at and say, here are the components to my success. Here's what someone else could do that would allow them to be able to duplicate the success that I'm having?
Well, you know, the biggest thing, the most influential thing, obviously, was that I bought a lot of, you know, marketing. I just, you know, I advertised a lot, and I did that through online advertising, you know, and specifically through Zillow. And, you know, the way I looked at it, you know, in a real estate transaction, you know, whatever, if it's a $200 or a $300 or $150,000 house, you know, that's $400 or $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 commission. So from my floor sanding business, I was like, well, you know, if I do spend, you know, $1,000 on advertising, and that I get that back from 1 job or 2 jobs, well, then it was worth it, right? So I figured, well, if I spend that amount of money, or, you know, 1 transaction or 2 transactions a month in real estate, and if I could double or triple my money, then it's worth it, you know, as long as I'm making a profit and, you know, I'm building a business. Then, so that's what I did. I bought enough zip codes to get enough leads, to talk to enough people, because real estate is a contact sport, you know, and you just have to meet with as many people as you can about real estate, somebody who's looking to buy or sell, and, you know, you're going to make a deal happen, you know, and then the rest is through your skill set. So that was by far the biggest thing. I bought a lot of leads.
So number 1 was you got involved with Zillow, right? You said Zillow, and there were other options, Realtor.com, Truly, and I think you said Zillow, you just liked the quality of the leads that were coming in, et cetera, right? So
Yeah.
were you now? I know that you have somewhat of a substantial spend on Zillow, and there's agents who are listening going, gosh, I can't really afford to spend a whole bunch. But would you recommend that they just hop in and they start getting smaller zip codes and build up? I mean, there's
If if you're not going to spend the money, I would say, because I thought about that, you have to do something a lot. Like do a lot. If you're not going to spend the money, do an open house every single day. Like, or door knock every single day. Or if it is if it is going to be online advertising or geo farm, like, take the loan out, and if you don't have the cash, take a loan out or borrow against your house. This is an investment in yourself. That's how you guys see it. You're going to college. Like, people spend $20, $30, $40,000 to go to college. You should spend $20, $30, $40,000 on your business and say, hey, I'm going to double, triple, quadruple, or more my money. And that's how I see it. Every dollar I spend on this is a dollar I'm investing in myself. So,
I love it.
just spend the money, or just like pound the pavement and do it a lot, because you got to meet a lot of people.
As Tom says, check equity or sweat equity, baby, right? It's
Yep.
either one of those two. And you know what I love here, man? What I really dig is that you have burned your boats in the harbor. Like when you got rid of your business, it was all or nothing. You're talking about, hey, I'm going to take a loan out against my house, $20,000, $30,000. It's all or nothing. I mean, that is putting massive pressure on like creating stress and pressure. So were you always, which I think is great, by the way, I think stress is a necessary thing in order for people to be able to grow the appropriate amount. Were you always succeeding with Zillow, like with your online leads? Was it always like, hey, I turned it on and then bang, here we go, I'm just closing left and right? Or was it a growth process that you went through?
Definitely a growth process, because here's the thing. When I started, I had no idea what I was doing, in the sense of I didn't know how to convert a lead for buying a house. Yeah, I could convert somebody who called me floor sanding because I took thousands and thousands of calls, and I knew what I wanted, and I knew what they wanted, and I could read the people. But, houses, I had no idea. And that was the thing. It took me months, really, up until maybe just a couple months ago, where now I'm very confident on the phone. I can tell if somebody's, really interested or not. I know the right questions to ask. And now my conversion rates are more. And so now I don't need to spend as much money because I have enough leads. I'm converting more. And so, but yeah, it was tough at first, and it was stressful. And, it hasn't been, I've sold 70 houses, but I'm working a lot. But the thing is I'm putting the time in now, because I know in like a year or 2 or 3 years, it's going to pay off, and I'm not going to have to put as much time in. And I knew that was because when I started my floor sanding business, I put a ton of time up front, because you're learning, and then once you have developed those skills, then it becomes easier. So, but no, it wasn't easy right off the bat.
So I'm a new agent, or I'm an agent that's new to online leads. Can you tell me like a couple of things that you've learned in the last 9-10 months that I could do that would collapse that growth curve, that would have me succeed quicker and have me converting those leads over faster?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that people should write me a check right now for like $10,000. I'm going to tell them like the key to success right here. There's 4 questions that you want to ask these people, okay? And this is the order you want to ask them. 1, you want to know what they're looking for. And that's just like a general question, a 1-story or 2-story house, or, a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom house. 2, you want to know where they're looking. In Minneapolis, do they want to live in South Minneapolis, North Minneapolis, Edina, etc.? Okay. Then 3, you want to know why they're moving. What's their motivating factor? Are they renting, or did they relocate? Did they, just sell their house? And then 4, you want to know when they're moving. When do they want to buy? Those are the 4 most important questions that you want to ask. Ask those 4 questions, and you will convert a lot of leads.
How many times do you think you've asked those 4 questions this year, man?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I didn't know to ask those questions for a really long time, and it wasn't really until like a couple months ago when I started training my he's actually used to floor sand for me. I was like, he's a hard worker. I can teach him this. And then I realized, like, hey, I do have a process. I do have a system. But yeah, I've asked those questions a lot. And for me, you know, maybe it works differently for somebody else. Maybe it's not those 4 questions. But for me, that's what works. And, you know, you need to know, you know, it's like, you know, Tom says it, or, you know, Gary Keller says it, you know, the quality of the questions you ask will determine, like, the quality of the answers or the results you get. And that is totally it. So asking the right questions on the phone is, like, the most important thing.
Okay, and so, you know what I love is that I'm listening to you go through this, and I can hear you. I can hear the tonality, the dialogue. You know how big I am in terms of, like, scripts effectiveness and being able to present this the right way. So, I mean, you have swagger, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's dialogue. I mean, honestly, you know,
Yeah.
like, so how important is, like, your confidence, the way you're asking these questions? How critical is that on these online leads? And if it's important, how did you develop it?
Yeah, that is paramount. And at the beginning, I wasn't confident at all, and that was why you know, my conversion rates were way low, and it was very stressful. But you have to be confident, and the only way to get confident is to practice. You have to practice, and so, you know, and I knew that. So, you know, I had role-playing partners that I practiced with. You know, I got tons of stuff from, you know, Tom Ferry online and just stuff online. And I was looking for scripts everywhere I could. And I was just like, why don't I know this? Why am I not good at this? And you just have to practice over and over and over again. You have to fail over and over and over again. And, you know, it's like this. I used to have this Michael Jordan poster in my room. And it was like, you know, I've missed like 27,000 shots, or, you know, I've lost like 250 games, and I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot like 32 times and miss, and like over and over again I fail. But, you know, and then it's like at the end it says, that is why I succeed. And that is it. You just have to fail and fail and try and try and try. And then once you start winning, and once you start converting, you start closing deals, you build that confidence, and then that confidence comes, and then you have your dialogue and your scripts that you're comfortable with, and then everything gets easier.
I love it, man. Excellent. Anything else to say on Zillow? I mean, so we've got the dialogue is important. We got the 4 questions. We've got to fail, right? Totally got that. Anything else in terms of your guys' follow-up structure, or that you would share with us that would, you know, if these guys follow this, would ensure them some success with their online leads, regardless if it's Zillow, Truly, or Realtor.com, or, you know, any of the other online sources?
You got to get back to them right away. That's the most important thing. They're on the computer when they click that button and you get that email or that text message. You got to get to them right away, because you know that you don't know if they're going to be there still. So just get to them right away. And then as far as with the follow-up, that is huge, really. And I didn't learn that, and that was something my coach Dan told me. You know, with buyers, it's all in the follow-up. You know, because these people are looking to buy, and, you know, this is the biggest decision of their life. They're not just going to necessarily just work with you just because you were the first person to call them. You know, sometimes you might need to call them 2 or 3 or 4 times, follow up with, hey, how's it going? You know, have you seen any houses that you want to look at? You know, what's your work schedule like? This one just came up. You know, do you want to go check it out if it's the criteria that you're looking for? You know, and just build a relationship with them. But follow up, get to them quick. And you know, and those are the 2 most important things.
So on the key to follow up, it's don't give up, is what I'm hearing you say. Like, do it again and again and again. Like, how many times do you typically have to follow up with someone before you get an appointment for them to come into the office, do you think?
Well, you know, I used to do it where, yeah, to meet. You know, there's some people that, you know, like today, I got a lead, came in, called her, boom, set the appointment, meeting her at the property. That's cool with me, because, like, I'm so confident now, like, I don't need them to come to my office. I'll close them at the property, or I'll build a rapport with them and get them to see me as value there, you know. If that's not necessarily the case, though, on every one. Sometimes you need to call them, you need to talk to them 3 or 4 times. They might not take your call the 2nd or 3rd time. They might not respond to your email. You know, I remember there's this one customer I'm working with right now. They're like a $400,000 buyer. And I called them and I called them. I sent them like a video text message, like Tom would tell us to do.
Well, hold on. Tell us, because a lot of people don't know about that, man. So I love this. So do you use video texting?
I do. It's hard to do every one, and I need to figure out a way how to do it on every single lead, because you got to do it, send it, takes a while from your phone.
Tell them what you do. Tell them what you do, because a lot of people don't know this.
Yeah, so, I was just like, hey, Kim, it's Arnie Johansen. I got your message on Zillow about 123 Main Street. I'd love to help you out. Give me a call or shoot me a text back when you can. And
you're doing this with your phone. You've got your phone.
Yeah, I got my phone out.
Set on selfie, right?
Yeah,
it's like on selfie.
Then they see you and they send it. One, it separates you from like everybody else. And two, they get to see who you are. They know you're not just some, it's like you're a real person. It doesn't work every time. But on that one, I really do believe that helped. And then I know I got another customer that way because I was using Video Bomb, which is a good way to do it. And you can send out, video emails. Sure. And she actually was like, I'm really impressed with your follow-up, because I met with her and I followed up with her and I said, hey, Kate, it was great meeting you. I'd love to, earn your business and, let me know when you're ready. And then she's like, hey, I'm really impressed with your follow-up. There's a property I want to go see. And,
right.
We took her out. So
it's all about separating yourself from the competition, isn't it? Whether it's video text, whether it's being the person that's going to follow up consistently, whether it's having that professional dialogue, right, every single time. I love it, man. So watch, that's one piece. I know there's a couple of other things that you and I were talking about that really had you succeed at such a high level this year as well, too, in our conversation. So what else do you attribute your success to that someone could follow in your shoes and model?
Okay, so get enough leads, and then the second is get an assistant, like right off the bat. I don't even think I've ever really done it. Like I've never filled out a transaction. Maybe one out of all the deals I've done. I'm a broker. I can supervise my assistant. It's okay to do that. And she does the electronic signatures, online, and we send them out to our customers. And, it's a standard Minnesota real estate purchase agreement. We're just filling in the blanks. That is, I don't have to worry about that. She does it. I get the email. I call her up. I say, here's the terms of the deal. She writes it. I'm on to the next one, And as soon as we get the deal locked up, she's coordinating the transaction. Boom, she's handling it from there to close, 95% of the stuff. Yeah, I got to talk to the customer. Yeah, maybe, I got to negotiate with, the agent on the other end about the transaction, things like that. But all that other stuff with the parties of the transaction that takes up so much time that really isn't producing another deal, she's doing. And that's allowed me to stay focused on, all right, let me get another customer,
Love it.
And so that, like, getting an assistant, and then...
And I know there's, dude, I know there's a lot of people out there that are going, oh my gosh, I can't afford an assistant. But I think they'd be surprised right now. I mean, you could go to Odesk or My Outdesk, and you could look at these virtual assistants that could basically help out a lot. And maybe it doesn't take everything off their plate, but it's like $7 an hour or $6 an hour where they could have a virtual assistant if they're not able to afford a full-time. Would you recommend that for them?
I just hired a part-time lead coordinator. He's in Guatemala. He's speaks perfect English. I think he's from Michigan. It's like $8 an hour, and he helps me phone call. And the other part of it is you make it make it so it's incentive. So she gets paid based upon how many deals we do. And so it's like you can keep your overhead low, but then so you're not because you got to manage your cash flow and everything. So it is worth it. Just do it. Like I said at the beginning, invest in yourself. Like you're going to college. Like first year agent. Think about yourself in college. Like you or your parents spent all that money on you to go to college or whatever. Just like invest in yourself. Like put it towards your assistant, put it towards you, put it towards your business. Like this is how you're going to make your career. You're going to have to spend some money on it, and just do it, and you will not regret it.
Love it, man. Awesome. So we've got have enough leads coming in, number one, right, through Zillow, and we went through that. Number two, hire an assistant, get some help so that you can put your attention to highest and best use, right, to go out and where's my next client, where's my next customer. and utilizing some of these online sources for virtual assistants, or even starting with someone part-time, like you said, just 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week. What's number 3?
Number 3 is know your market. Like, become the expert. I know everything in Minneapolis. I know everything in Minneapolis. Not everything, okay? I probably know like 70%, but I'm going to know everything. Know the best streets, know the best schools, know where the deals are, know the square foot price, know the days on market, know the average sale price, the median price, like know all the little neighborhoods. Like I know, there's Minneapolis, there's South Minneapolis, there's Southeast Minneapolis, there's Hale, there's Page, there's Field, there's Nokomis neighborhoods, there's Longfellow, Cooper, like all those. And I didn't know, like, I knew Minneapolis in general because I lived here before I started, but people want a local neighborhood expert. Know the inventory, like know that house just sold down the street for 86,000 or 126 or 357. Know that it was on the market for 6 days and there was multiple offers on it. Like, just know everything you possibly can. Go through 10, 15 houses a day. Just know more than everybody else. Study the market. Go to, whatever. We have Minneapolis Realtor or, Association of Realtors, and I just study those stats all the time. Go on the MLS all the time. Like, drive around, go to the bars, there's coffee shops, everything, and just become the master of your marketplace. And that will give you the confidence when you meet with people and they see that confidence and they know that you're the expert, and then they want to work with you because that's what they want. And there's so many realtors out there. They can choose anybody. But like how I separate myself is that I know how to find the best deals. In Minneapolis, I know how to find the best deals. Most of my properties, because we represent mostly buyers, are properties that are multiple offers that sell within the first day or first couple hours, and that's because I know the market so well. I can spot it online when it comes up, and I know that's a deal. That has equity in it. That's a nice house. That's going to sell, and we go and we get it and we nab it. And I don't know. I think people want to work with me because of that reason.
Well, and here's what I noticed. I'm sitting here going, crap, man, I want to buy a house in Minneapolis. Man, I've flown in on the airplane before and flown out. That's about my extent. But I'm like, I want to buy a house in Minneapolis because you're so sure because of the knowledge that you have. That knowledge that you have creates so much confidence that comes across, and it creates confidence that the client has in you. I can totally see why it is that you're now. How much time do you spend studying the market? And do you go out and preview properties? Are you just sitting online going, okay, here's Page, and I'm going to go through Page and look at, like, how do you do that? How would you recommend that these guys study or educate themselves?
Yeah, so, everybody knows, or not everybody knows, but, the book, Good to Great, you guys spend 10,000 hours on one thing to, like, master it, right? And, like, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, like, those guys spend hours and hours in the gym. They're not just, like, gifted. They're the hardest workers. They put the time in, and, like, when I started floor sanding, I was not good right away. Like, but after doing it over and over and over again, I got good. What I do is, I spend a lot of time on it. Honestly, I do. I love what I do, and that's a big part of it. Like, I love doing what I do. But, I go look at properties every single day. I go look at properties for customers. If I think I see a good deal, I'll go look at it. I go through at least 5, 6, 7 properties a day every single day. I spend hours online on the MLS. I by driving around and looking at properties, you're learning the neighborhoods, you're learning the city because you're just driving around, you're in that environment. So what I would recommend for people is, go look at 10 properties every single day, no matter what. Like, go look at past sales, go neighborhood by neighborhood and see what has sold in that neighborhood in the last 30 days, 60 days. Look at the square foot prices. Like, analyze the market from a year ago to now. Know that condo prices in Bloomington are up 22%, but condo prices in Minneapolis are up 18%. Figure out why that is. Know those areas and just spend the time online on your MLS, getting the stats through your association, your realtor association, and then you have to know the inventory. Preview the houses. You have to go through the houses. And then here's the other thing. I came from construction, so I had a construction background, so I know a lot about how a house is built. I know prices for things. Like, if you don't know anything about construction, or like, you know, get in touch with some contractors. Learn how much does it cost to replace a furnace or a water heater, or put an egress window in, or do a granite, you know, countertop, or put a bathroom in a house, or do an addition. Like, that's what a lot of people want, you know, because, you know, they're first-time home buyers. It's a huge investment decision. This is money, you know, and they want an expert. So go out there and learn about real estate. Don't, you know, just don't be like, you know, oh, a pretty face, and, you know, I'm dressed up and I got my open house signs and whatever. Like, no, like, be a professional, like, learn your game, like, take this super, super seriously, and then you'll get the customers and you'll make a lot of money.
Love it, man. Phenomenal. So we're winding down on time. I think we hit our 3. Anything else that you would tell them?
Yeah, the last thing I had is track and measure. And what I mean by that is, like, track and measure where your leads are coming from, where your deals are coming from, you know, what's working and what's not working. You know, as you build this business, if you want to build a business where you're doing, you know, 100 transactions a year, like, it's not just all profit. There's expenses. You're going to have salaries. You're going to have office space. You're going to have lead generation sources. You're going to have gas. You're going to have, you know, flyers for open house and signs, and you're going to have a lot of expenses. Like, run it like a business. Track and see where your money's going. You know, if you have, you know, there's a, like, I just cut like $5,000 worth of unperforming zip codes that weren't making me any money. That's $5,000 in my pocket a month.
Which
like,
you wouldn't have known if you weren't keeping track of it.
If I wasn't tracking and measuring it, I wouldn't have known, and I didn't do that all the way from the beginning. And if there's one thing I can tell you, in addition to what I've already said, is track and measure from the very beginning, because I would have thousands and thousands of dollars of more profit in my pocket right now if I would have been doing that from very day one.
I love it, man. Fantastic. You know what I love here, man? what I dig is this. It's a business. I mean, as I'm listening to you, we could be talking about opening up a Subway shop. You know what I mean? I got to invest in this and that and marketing. I could be talking about opening up a, you know, McDonald's or whatever, you know, or you know, a ski shop. You're talking about this from a business perspective, and I think that's the key thing. Is all of this is run the business like a business, and you just gave us an incredible outline. I mean, look, if the industry followed these 4 principles right here, we wouldn't have the 80% fallout rate. We'd have a bunch of people coming in and selling the heck out of whatever area that they're in, man. So if they want to get a hold of you, because obviously I know that they got referrals coming into Minnesota, right? So
yeah.
and to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and as well as if they've got questions, how do they get a hold of you? What's your email address, man?
Okay, if you have anybody who's looking to buy or sell a house in Minneapolis, Edina, Minneapolis metro area, call me. My number is 612-423-0202. My email is arne@jrhomesales.com. Arnie@jrhomesales.com. I'm an expert here. My team is an expert here. We're just a team looking to help people get houses or sell your houses. I know, well, actually I don't know, but we work very, very hard, and I don't even know if we're number 1 here yet, but I think we will be sometime.
I like the yet, dude. I like the yet. The yet is the good thing.
I'm going to do my best.
I know you will. If anyone's going to do it, dude, I know it's you. So thank you. I'm walking away. I've got notes upon notes, and just, you know, kept looking over and taking notes, and I'm inspired, man. I mean, I'm really inspired. I can see why it is that you sell a lot of homes, and I'm proud that we're in business with you, man. I'm proud that we have the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you know, for all of you, all the viewers, scripts, dialogues, support material. Listen, if you haven't gone yet to the website, to tomferry.com, there's, as Arnie was talking about, there's all types of scripts, all types of audio to support your growth, so that you don't have to guess. This doesn't have to be a guessing game. You know, we've gone through, and we've got through our exposure to great agents like Arnie and Darren Langell, who you've heard from, and I mean, just all of these amazing agents. We've had the ability to put their best practices together, and we make that available to you for free. Okay, so please check us out at tomferry.com. There's, you know, for the support material, and most importantly, hey, I'm excited about the next. I'm excited about this Real Success interview, and I'm excited about the next one as well too. So I look forward to having you guys as our guests. Thank you for taking time out of your day, and most importantly, right? Keep in mind, keep your mind focused on the future, like Arnie has, like always moving forward. Keep your actions in the present, right? And keep on moving forward. Keep on being powerful. Thanks again for being our guest on Real Success. Thank you, Arnie, for being on here as well too. Really appreciate you taking time out. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.